Introducing our new saw cut format. In this series, we'll obtain a hornet's nest, encase it in epoxy, slice it, and closely examine the details. Sit back, enjoy the show as we head up to the attic. We followed a tip here about a hive in the attic. Right there. No one knows if it's functioning or not, or if someone lives there or not. So now we are gearing up to go check it out. What's up? I arrived. Basically, it should be around here, they said. Holy smokes, it's like this. There's a chance it's a hornet's hive at all. It's big, like really huge. We're unsure if survival there is possible. The only thought we had was to check it with a thermal imager. True, no one knows if the temperature should vary if bees or hornets are hanging out there. But we'll take a look now. Check it out. I'm about to record the capture. It's red. No, it turned yellow. It's 68 degrees. The roof has the same angle. Well, doesn't seem to be any activity there, it seems. And it's quiet. I don't really understand it, but dang, I see such things for the first time. No guys, this is creepy. Well, dang, it's gigantic, like a good basketball. We chose this technology for all our series formats. Plywood will be the base, which we tape with scotch, then we assemble the box. Next, we mix two-component epoxy adhesive and cover all joints. It's a quick, dependable composition, ideal for these purposes. The only downside is the price. After 15 minutes, the glue hardened completely, so we can proceed, and the main character appears in the frame. Meet the second main character. It's epoxy, because without it, what we planned would be impossible. Namely, to cut this thing while keeping it intact. It is really very fragile, but we will fix this by completely filling the nest with epoxy. For the first layer, we chose the tested Art Eco composition from Eco Bath. It's a quick mix, suitable for thin, non-bulky castings. Just what we need now. Since we can't pour all the volume at once, the nest is lightweight with much air inside, so it will surely float in the resin. That's why we poured a thin layer at the bottom. We resealed the inner acrylic glass joints and laid it in this puddle so that the nest adhered and didn't float up later. The next day, the puddle dried, allowing the main layers to be poured. For this, we traditionally use a mix called Art Massive for bulky castings. I should note its convenient packaging. The kit includes 2 buckets, component A and B. Simply pour one into the other, following the instructions. Of course, the first bucket thoughtfully leaves room for the contents of the second bucket. Definitely liked by me. But don't forget, after the first mixing, the mix must necessarily be transferred to a dry clean container and thoroughly mixed again. That's why, see a new white bucket pouring out as from a bucket. This time, we opted for staged pouring, as regulations stipulate this mix shouldn't exceed 10 centimeters. But those who saw our last video cutting the old phone know we ignore manufacturer rules. Nothing fatal occurs with this composition, but we advise against it. Ultimately, we poured 3 layers, 2 22 lbs and 1 11 lbs. Each subsequent layer was poured when the previous one had already set but hadn't fully polymerized yet and resembled a soft, stretchy rubber. It occurs by day 3, third day. Such a technique helps to minimize optical refraction. Simply put, the boundaries between layers become almost invisible. We knew the nest would have many air pockets, making it impossible to eliminate all bubbles. So, the task wasn't assigned. But moving forward, I'll mention we had a cool vacuum chamber set up, which I discussed on our Telegram channel. By then, the resin fully polymerized, and we moved to the most interesting part, the cutting. First, we remove the formwork. As you can see, we've got the hang of it, and the formwork comes off without much effort intact, not like in the first episode. It can be reused confidently once or twice if lucky. After 20 minutes, we have this cube weighing nearly 66 lbs. Before cutting it on the bandsaw, calibrate a few sides for reference to slice all discs. Calibrating with CNC, it was crucial to remove as much resin as possible because this large cube couldn't fit into our bandsaw. After an hour of setup, we start sawing. We opted to make thinner pancakes to fully display the fillings. Compared to the earlier cut, this phone nest was sawed quicker and easier. Understandably so, because it's essentially just paper and epoxy, unlike the metal parts in the phone. So, where did the hornets find the paper? The queen lays in the nest, constructing the first combs. Then, the family joins the construction. This dwelling is made from young bark, which they shave off from treetops, then chew it with their powerful jaws into a pulp resembling paper softened in water and begin to form combs out of it, building a thick protective wall around them. Constructed layer by layer. The nest is multi-tiered with a complex labyrinth system and combs housing larvae. To feed their carnivorous, voracious larvae, hornets hunt insects like flies, mosquitoes, grasshoppers, spiders, locusts, and bees. Adult individuals are quite fond of feasting on plant-based sweet food like flower nectar, the pulp of overripe fruits, and especially honey. We were a bit short on saw movements and had to finish manually with a Japanese saw. But a day later, Kolya finally made those pancakes. Before lacquering, they must be sanded thoroughly to remove traces of the tape and those places where we sawed them manually. While Kolya does this, I'll try to disassemble another nest, but dry, to demonstrate the structure of this house and fully disclose the topic. So, we managed to get two specimens. One was encased in epoxy, as you saw. The other, I suggest opening dry. It's kind of fluffy on top, like paper, but inside it seems to be tiered. Inside are larvae, and there is some sort of protective cocoon they enter through. It hardly weighs anything. It's basically paper. As I've studied, they build it from top to bottom, by the way. So that's how they build it. And here, actually, you can see these tiers already. And the debris that falls during their life processes collects here at the bottom. There's really a lot of sand, dirt, some kind of dust, some soil. Its origin is unclear. Well, as I've read, it visually turns out that way. Basically, this is what the whole nest is for, right? For these tiers. In each one, from these cells, larvae live, they feed them, then they fly away and start a new nest somewhere. Each floor is fixed with these legs, and I tell you, it's really a very sturdy construction. It's much denser than this shell, but also very rigid. You don't just squash it. It's some sort of structure, unclear why it's genetic. All these dimensions, technologies, well, they don't read books, but make everything neatly. By then, all is smoothly sanded and ready for the final coat. Andrew took over this part. I'm sure you'll have many questions about this unique paint sprayer. I'll leave a link to it in the description. Before we present the final result, we need to put it on something. We opted for simplicity, crafting elegant panels without images or text. I think it's very concise and harmonizes well with the nest's natural origin. I'm eager to hear your opinion. Let's meet in the comments. We agreed to create this format together. You really choose what we'll see in the next episode. Last time on our Telegram channel, you chose to saw this nest. As you see, that's our move. On our Telegram, we're giving away first episode pancakes with phone sawing. We also need to choose what to saw next episode. Vote through the link in the description. Thanks for watching and good chopping.